Welcome back to the deep dive. Usually when we talk about a tech company, we're talking about, I don't know, a new social media app or a faster way to get food delivered.
Something pretty benign.
Right. But today we're looking at a company that feels like it was lifted directly out of a spy novel.
It really does. I think it's one of the few Silicon Valley companies that genuinely makes people uncomfortable.
We are talking about Palantir Technologies. And honestly, depending on who you ask, they are either the heroes quietly saving Western civilization, or they're the ultimate big brother.
And that's the whole paradox, isn't it? That tension is exactly why we need to dig in. We've got a really fascinating source stack today. Everything from their Q4 2025 financial reports to analysis from XG Chyler and Forbes Turkey, and even some pretty dense academic papers on data regulation.
And the picture that all of this paints is, well, it's intense. You see this company that started in the shadows, I mean, literally funded by spies, and has now just exploded into the mainstream.
The valuation alone is just staggering. We're talking about a market cap that's blown past $340 billion. But the money, that's just a symptom.
It's a trailing indicator.
Exactly. The real story is how they got there, and maybe more importantly, what they're actually doing.
Right, because Palantir was always this kind of black box. You knew they were involved in military operations, you'd hear these rumors, but nobody could really explain how it all worked. So our mission today is to crack that box open. We're going to look at their origins, their tech, this incredible financial boom they had in 2025, and of course,
the rumors, the controversies.
Yeah, you can't talk about Palantir without talking about the controversies.
It's a company defined by them.
So let's start at the very beginning, because the name itself tells you so much. If you're a nerd like me, you hear Palantir, and you don't think software.
You think Lord of the Rings?
100%.
Yeah. In Tolkien's books, the Palantiri were these seeing stones. They were indestructible crystal balls, basically. And if you had one, you could see things happening miles away, communicate across continents, spy on your enemies.
Which is an unbelievably perfect name for a surveillance tech company. But there was a catch with those stones, wasn't there?
Oh, a huge catch. They were dangerous. They could be corrupted by, a dark lord like Sauron to show you a distorted version of reality, to mislead you.
A detail that critics of the company love to point out.
Absolutely. But the founders knew this. It wasn't an accident. The company was started in 2003, right in the wake of 9/11. The idea from founders like Peter Thiel and Alex Karp was to build a system that could connect the dots and prevent another attack like that.
And Alex Karp, the CEO, he's a fascinating figure. He's not your typical tech bro in a hoodie.
Not at all. Karp's a philosopher. He has a PhD in neoclassical social theory. He talks about Adorno and critical theory while he's selling advanced targeting systems to the Pentagon. It's a wild contrast.
So a philosopher running a war tech company. But in those early days, Silicon Valley didn't want anything to do with him, did they?
They were total outcasts. The traditional VCs on Sand Hill Road just didn't get it. The tech was too complex, too government-focused, so for their first big investment, they had to go somewhere else.
And where did they go?
In-Q-Tel.
Which sounds incredibly vague.
It's the venture capital arm of the CIA.
Okay, hold on. The CIA has a VC firm.
They do. And they were Palantir's first major backer.
That changes everything. If your first investor is the CIA, you are not building an app to share photos.
Exactly. And that's the core difference between Palantir and, say, Google. You remember when Google's employees protested that military drone contract, Project Maven?
Right. They forced the company to pull out. They said, we don't build weapons.
Palantir's whole philosophy is the opposite. They run towards those contracts. They are explicitly, unapologetically pro-Western. Their mission is to make sure our side has better software than their side.
So let's talk about that software. Let's get into what they actually do. Because data analytics is such a boring phrase for what's happening here.
To get it, you have to understand their central concept, which they call the ontology.
Another philosophy word.
It is. So think about a normal database, like a spreadsheet. You have rows and columns, a list of people, a list of cars, a list of bank accounts. But the spreadsheet has no idea that this person is connected to that car or that bank account.
They're just separate lists of data.
Right. Palantir's ontology builds a dynamic model of the real world. It doesn't just see data, it sees entities and the relationships between them. It knows this person owns that car, which was seen at this location at 2:00 a.m., and that location is tied to a known smuggler.
So it's like the crazy wall in a detective movie.
That is the perfect analogy.
And the red string connecting all the photos.
Exactly. It's a self-building digital version of that wall, pulling from millions of data points instantly.
And they have two big products that do this.
They do. The first is Gotham, which is for government and military clients.
Gotham City. They really lean into the whole Batman thing.
They really do. And our sources, especially analysis coming out of the conflict in Ukraine, show Gotham in action.
What's his role there? What does that actually look like on the ground?
It's all about speed. Think about it. In the past, a soldier spots an enemy tank. They have to radio it in, someone else checks a map, it gets verified. It could take hours, even days, to call in an airstrike.
By which point the tank is long gone.
Exactly. Palantir just vacuums up all the data satellite imagery, drone feeds, soldier reports, and puts it all on one single live map. The sources say it took the targeting cycle from days down to minutes. Minutes. It's what people are calling algorithmic warfare.
That terrifyingly effective.
Yeah.
But it's not just for the military. They have a commercial side too.
Right. Their other platform is called Foundry. You can think of it as Gotham for corporations. They call it creating a digital twin.
A digital twin of the whole business.
It's pretty much. Take Airbus, for example. Before Palantir, their data was a total mess. You had engineering data over here, supply chain data over there, financial data in a completely different system.
Standard big company problem.
Totally. Palantir came in and connected all of it. They created a living digital model of the entire A350 production line.
So if a shipment of bolts is delayed in Hamburg,
the system immediately knows how that will affect the final assembly in Toulouse 3 weeks from now.
and what was the result?
A 33% increase in production speed. I mean, in heavy manufacturing, a 33% jump is just, it's unheard of.
And they did something similar with the NHS in the UK for the COVID vaccine rollout, right?
Yeah, that was a huge logistical challenge. Who needs the vaccine? Where are the supplies? Which hospitals have capacity? Palantir essentially became the central nervous system for that entire program.
Okay, so we've got a company that can manage a battlefield, build an airplane faster, and run a national healthcare response.
It's an incredible amount of reach.
Which brings us to the money. Because looking at these 2025 numbers, it feels like the market finally woke up and realized what this is worth.
Oh, the shift in 2025 was seismic. For years, the big knock on Palantir was that they didn't make money. They burned cash like a classic tech startup.
The old, we'll figure out profitability later line.
Well, later finally arrived. The Q4 2025 report shows revenue hitting $1.41 billion. For the quarter, that's up 70% year over year.
70% growth. For a company that's 2 decades old, that's insane.
And it's profitable growth. We're talking a net profit for the year of about $1.6 billion. They are a cash machine now. And there's this metric investors love called the Rule of 40.
Right. Break that down for us.
It's simple. You take a software company's growth rate and you add its profit margin. If that number is over 40, you're considered best in class. Palantir's score was 127.
127%. Is that a typo?
It's not a typo. It is an absolutely absurd number. It signals explosive growth combined with incredible efficiency.
So what happened? What was the spark in 2025?
It's one acronym, AIP, their artificial intelligence platform. But it wasn't just launching an AI product. Everyone did that. They changed how they sell. They started running these things called boot camps.
Boot camps?
Yeah. So the old way to sell enterprise software is, 6 months of meetings and PowerPoint decks.
Death by 1,000 slides.
Palantir just threw that out. They go to a potential client, say a huge shipping company, and they say, give us 5 days and access to your data. We'll build you a working solution right now for free.
That's an incredibly confident sales pitch.
It's a total power move.
Man.
And it worked. The U.S. commercial part of their business grew 93% because of it. They stopped telling people what they could do and just started doing it.
Wow. Okay. So they're powerful, they're everywhere, and now they're incredibly rich. Which naturally leads us to the darker side of the story. The rumors, the reputation.
With this much power comes this much scrutiny. You can't avoid it.
So let's start with the big one. Their work with ICE, the U.S. Immigration Agency. This is where that controversial label really started to stick.
Yeah, this goes back a few years, but it really defines their public image. Palantir's software, systems like Falcon and ICM, were used by ICE to track and identify undocumented immigrants.
And we're not just talking about desk work.
No, not at all. This software was instrumental in planning workplace raids, like the massive one in Mississippi in 2019 where almost 700 people were arrested at food processing plants.
Which sparked outrage from human rights groups and even from inside Palantir.
It did. Employees protested. But Palantir's response was really telling. Alex Karp basically said, look, we are not the ones who should be setting immigration policy. That's the job of the democratically elected government. We just provide the tools.
The neutral tool argument.
Exactly. If you don't like the law, change the law. Don't yell at the software company. It's an argument, but a lot of people don't buy it. And you see the same kind of dynamic playing out with the rumors around their work in Israel.
Right. The sources mentioned a strategic partnership they signed in early 2024.
They did. And the rumors are very specific. There's been reporting on an AI targeting system called Lavender, which allegedly identifies human targets for assassination.
And the rumor is that Palantir built it.
That's the rumor. Now, Palantir denies that their software is Lavender, but they openly admit that they provide the underlying infrastructure, the data platform, that the Israeli military runs its systems on. So it's a fine line.
It's a very blurry line. It's not our bullet, we just built the gun.
Precisely. And that reputation, that toxicity, as some sources call it, has real-world consequences. Just look at what's happening with the NHS in the UK.
The health service, right.
So Palantir won this massive $330 million contract to manage all NHS data. But now UK officials are apparently panicking behind the scenes.
Why? I thought the software worked brilliantly for the vaccine program.
The software works. It's the brand that's the problem. They're terrified that patients are going to hear that the spy tech company has their medical records and will start opting out of data sharing en masse.
Which would cripple the entire project.
It would make it useless. The tech can be perfect, but if nobody trusts the hand that wields it, the whole thing falls apart. We even saw that with the LAPD and their predictive policing program.
Operation Laser.
Yeah.
Right. This sounds like Minority Report.
Yeah, the idea was to predict crime before it happens, but the reality was it was just amplifying existing biases and historical police data against minority communities. The program was eventually canceled.
So it's this constant push and pull, the savior on one side, big brother on the other.
It's the dual-use problem. The same technology can build a hospital or target a missile.
So where does a company like this go next? What's the future vision?
I think the big push is toward what they call edge AI.
The edge. What does that mean?
Okay, right now, most AI lives in the cloud. It needs a big, powerful server and an internet connection to work.
Right. Siri doesn't work if you're offline.
Exactly. Edge AI is about putting that computing power on the device itself, on the drone, on a soldier's radio, in the rescue worker's helmet. So the AI can think and make decisions in the field with zero connection to the outside world.
That's a fundamental change. It moves the intelligence from the command center right into the action.
It does, but their business strategy is just as important. It's all about being sticky.
Sticky.
They have this land and expand model. They get into an organization, sometimes for free, like they did with COVID. But once they're in, they weave their software into every single system you have.
So removing them becomes impossible.
Or as a leaked UK defense memo put it, disproportionately difficult. They become the nervous system. And you can't just rip out your own nervous system.
And that's the bull case for the stock, I guess.
Yeah.
That they are becoming the essential, unremovable operating system for the modern world.
That's the bet. And if you believe that, then maybe a $340 billion valuation is actually cheap.
So, to synthesize all this, we've got a company born from the intelligence world that's now at the absolute center of global industry and conflict, powered by a massive AI-driven boom.
They sell one thing, really. They sell order. In an increasingly chaotic world, they sell the ability to see a clear picture and make a decision.
But that clarity and order come with some very big questions attached.
They do, and that really brings us to the final provocative thought for you to take away.
Let's have it.
We spend so much time debating who we elect. We have checks and balances for our leaders. But a company like Palantir is building the very lens through which those leaders see reality. The software is framing the problem and suggesting the solutions before a human even sits down at a table.
The algorithm is setting the agenda.
Exactly. So the real question is this. In a democracy, is it acceptable for a single, private, ideologically driven company to become the central nervous system for our military, our intelligence agencies, and our healthcare?
And once they're in that deep, is it even possible to unplug them?
That might be the defining question of the next decade.
Yeah. Definitely a lot to think about there. Thanks for taking this dive with us.
Anytime.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.